Soon it is Christmas Day, while the rest of the world enjoys what we in Denmark call hygge, these cozy moments with family, exchanging gifts, sipping hot cocoa. We are at work, and let's be honest, it doesn't feel festive. In fact, it feels like we're missing out. The isolation, the frustration, even the resentment can creep in, making it one of the hardest shifts of the year. But what if I told you that working on Christmas Day doesn't have to feel this way? What if the Christmas spirit we think we're missing is actually right there in front of us, even in the chaos of the hospital? Let's begin by acknowledging the reality. Working on Christmas Day can feel like a huge sacrifice. We all know the feeling. Scrolling through social media, seeing our friends, our families around the tree in their pajamas, while we are dealing with the harshness of a busy hospital ward, whether it's an emergency department, an orthopedic ward, a psychiatric ward. There is an emotional weight that comes with that. I've spent many Christmases in the hospital, and each one has been different. The first one, and I will not lie to you, it was rough. I kept thinking about what I was missing. My son opening his presents, the smell of food at home, the conversations around the dinner table. I felt this tension between my role as a caretaker and my desire to just be with my family. But over the years, something shifted. I realized that the mindset we bring into the day changes everything. It's not that the challenges of working on Christmas disappears, but how we choose to deal with them can make or break the experience. Let me share what has worked for me, and maybe it will resonate with you too.
Oh God, I hope so.
The first step is recognizing the role we play on Christmas Day. While it feels like we are missing out on something special, we are also there providing some incredible value. Patients don't stop getting sick just because it's Christmas. For many of them, we are the only warmth and care they will receive that day. I remember one Christmas shift where an elderly patient who had no visitors told me, "You are my family today." It hit me hard. I wanted to be with my own family, but in that moment I realized I was part of something way bigger than me, way bigger than my family. Working on Christmas isn't about missing out, it's about providing something irreplaceable. You might not see it at first, but the impact we have is real. That patient, that family who's spending their holiday in the hospital, they will remember the care and attention you'll give them more than you can ever imagine. It might seem small to us, but it's not small to them. Another way to cope is by creating your own holiday traditions, even while on the job.
Now how the hell am I gonna do that?
One of the things I've done both for myself and my colleagues is to bring a bit of holiday spirit. Some years I've organized a small gift exchange, or we'll decorate a corner of the nurse's station with lights and a little tree. It's not the same as being at home, but it brings a little bit of joy into the shift. It helps to remind us that even though we are at work, we don't have to completely miss out on the holiday. It's not just about decorations. Sometimes we'll take turns during breaks to share stories about our own Christmas traditions or holiday memories. That shared experience, that sense of camaraderie, creates a bond that makes the day feel a bit lighter. I found that if you can bring a little bit of Christmas into the hospital, it transforms the atmosphere tremendously. One of the most powerful ways to get through a Christmas shift is by focusing on the connections around you. Whether it's with your colleagues or your patients. Some of my most meaningful experiences as a nurse have happened on Christmas Day. They usually involve moments where I've connected with others on a deeper level. And when I was a nurse in psychiatry, one of the things we did every Christmas Eve, because it's a Danish tradition that the gifts are given on Christmas Eve, was that we purchased gifts for our patients with some money we have in the department, and then we sat down for a nice Christmas dinner with our patients, no matter where they were in their disease, except if they were extremely violent. But most psychiatric patients aren't, so we actually had a cozy, relaxing Christmas dinner, and somehow it made them feel more, well, not sick. There was also this one year where my colleagues and I decided to surprise one of our patients, a child who was in long-term care, by decorating his room with festive lights and even getting him a small gift. I still to this day remember the look on his face, reminding me of why we do what we do. It wasn't just about the medical care, it was about bringing a bit of humanity into a sterile environment. And with those connections with patients and with your team, you can turn a seemingly gloomy day into one that is filled with warmth and meaning. Working on Christmas can actually be an opportunity to connect more deeply, to show compassion in a way that resonates beyond the clinical setting. And here's a trick I have used over the years that have made a massive difference: mental reframing the situation. Instead of focusing on what I'm missing, I focus on what I'm gaining. I tell myself, yes, I'm not at home with my family, but I am here contributing to something important. That small shift in mindset can help break the cycle of resentment. This isn't about denying how hard it is. It's okay to feel disappointed or frustrated. Those feelings are natural. But I acknowledge them and I try not to dwell on them. Instead, I ask myself, what can I do to make this shift better, both for myself and for those around me? Sometimes it's as simple as sharing a laugh with a colleague or taking an extra moment to talk with a patient, especially those who are having a hard day. There are also some very practical ways to get through a Christmas shift. First, plan ahead. If you know you're working, try to celebrate Christmas on a different day, especially for your family, so they don't feel like they are missing you more than they have to. In my experience, my son, my girlfriends throughout the times have been incredibly understanding. Pick another day in December to do our holiday traditions, and it makes all the difference. Shifting the celebration doesn't take away from the meaning, it just changes the timing. Another coping strategy is to take micro breaks throughout the day. The holiday shifts can be intense, emotionally and physically. When I feel the weight of the day bearing down on me, I'll take moments to step outside for fresh air or grab a cup of coffee with a co-worker. Even just 5 minutes of stepping away from the clinical environment can recharge you, which is also a general advice for dealing with nursing stress. Christmas shifts can be emotionally draining, especially if you're feeling disconnected from the holiday spirit. One of the ways I've avoided burnout is by focusing on gratitude. I know it sounds cliche.
Yes, it does, doesn't it?
But it works. When I catch myself feeling down about my work, I'll take a moment to remind myself of the positive aspects of my job. Like the fact that I am in a position to help others even on difficult days. There's also something to be said about finding meaning in the hardship. I've learned that working on Christmas can deepen your appreciation for the holiday. After spending the day dealing with patients, their families, you realize just how precious those moments of connections are when you finally get to celebrate it with your own family. The contrast makes the time together even sweeter. So as we face this Christmas shift, let's remember that we have the power to shape how the day feels. Yes, it's tough to be away from your family, but we are not alone in this. We have our colleagues, our patients, and even ourselves to rely on. By reframing our mindset, bringing a little bit of Christmas into our work, and focusing on the connections we build, we can find joy and meaning even on the hardest of shifts. Working on Christmas Day is never easy, but it doesn't have to feel like a loss. It's an opportunity to show up for others in a way that matters, to create our own traditions, and to remind ourselves of why we became nurses in the first place. We are there when it counts, and that's something to be proud of. This Christmas, even in the midst of all the chaos, I challenge you to find those small moments of joy. And I promise you, they are there, hidden in the cracks of the day, waiting to be noticed. And when you do find them, you'll realize that maybe, just maybe, working on Christmas isn't so bad after all. And next, watch this video with YouTube things you will like. And I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.